Yo, what's up? This is Sleet. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm talking about Manchester City versus Wolves. As per usual, I'm gonna go over how the match went out, what the goals were, and then I'm gonna get into each player individually and talk about their moments. So looking at the lineup that came out, I was pretty close with my prediction yesterday in some regards, but then also thrown off. There was news when the lineup came out that basically 3 or 4 players were injured that just weren't mentioned in the press conference. They were not talked about in the news before. So some of them I included in my starting team, and it just turns out that they couldn't have played at all because they've got some issue from training. So Ederson was in goal like I thought. Walker started at right back, which I predicted. I thought Stones and Ake would play, and they did. And then at left back, I was expecting Cancelo to play. Apparently he's got some muscle injury and he's out for a month, so it was Mendy instead. But I thought Mendy did okay. I'll get to that later. And then from here, a couple of my predictions were thrown off by yet another injury. Bernardo Silva apparently has some muscle issue, so he wasn't available to play. And because of that, or for that reason, I think Pep probably changed the midfield into the double pivot that it was. He didn't have Gundogan through injury again, and that was who I thought would play with Rodri in the double pivot if he did decide to go with that. And I did mention that I thought Gundogan might play just because Pep loves him, but instead it was Fernandinho returning back to the midfield. And I think Fernandinho had a good game. But because there was no Bernardo, I think we needed that running power, that energy in the midfield area. So instead of on the wing having Mars, we had Foden. De Bruyne, of course, was a central cam. Then on the striking position, we had Jesus, and then on the left wing, we had Sterling, and all of that kind of predicted itself and is what I said would happen. Getting into the game, right from the off, City were in the ascendancy. We had chances, not the clearest of chances, but we did have some shots. We had a free kick from De Bruyne that was okay, kind of wrong-footed the keeper, but it was a comfortable enough save. Sterling took a pop shot at one point. Overall, we were just dominating them, and City were revved up, especially at the start of this game. I think they kind of lost their energy in the second half, but at the beginning, we were intense. We were fighting for everything. We were attacking in numbers. Everything seemed really, really good, and we kept winning the ball back. That's what I noticed a lot. Rodri and Fernandinho together were able to win the ball back and stop any kind of countering, which is what Wolves are good at, especially in the first half. We had a line of 4 with Mendy, Walker, and then Rodri and Fernandinho in the middle who were able to kind of stop that break before they got to the center backs and allowed Stones and Ake to more sweep up any danger rather than have to defend themselves. Part of the reason I thought Foden wouldn't play today was because of the drama recently with the England squad and the Icelandic girls and all that stuff, but he did start and he did very, very well. He was the one that had the good pass through to De Bruyne, who ended up winning the penalty. It wasn't a soft penalty, but it was definitely avoidable. The defender didn't need to go to ground there. And Saiz kind of swung his I think it was his left leg, whatever leg was on top during the tackle. He swung it out more when he started to make contact with De Bruyne. And if he hadn't have done that, I think De Bruyne might have got booked for diving because he seemed to be going down before there was contact. But when he did that, he kind of just kicked into his knee, and you can't really say that you didn't touch him then because there's clearly you making a move to make contact. De Bruyne picked himself up right away, and he had a great penalty slotted into the bottom right. I wasn't in doubt at all that he would score. I wasn't nervous. I just thought he looked confident. City seemed good. And this was a great way to start the game with a early enough goal and to just break into their team. After the first goal, I was expecting Wolves to kind of come out of their shell a little more and create more, but they didn't, at least not yet. So City kept attacking. We kept doing well. Our second goal came from, it was a very good interplay. Again, Foden started the move and he finished it off. Foden passed it in to, I think it was Jesus, who laid it off to De Bruyne, and then this pass from De Bruyne. I think he's the man of the match. He had that goal, and then this pass to set up this goal as well. But the pass through to Sterling, part of it is Sterling timing his run to stay on side, but it was such a great ball through. The weight on it was perfect, and Sterling was able to just pick out Foden, who had started the move and had followed his pass into the box, and he just finished into the goal. It was pretty much an open goal because of the cutback. Soon after the second goal, halftime came. I don't know what the Wolves boss said to them, or their manager, Nuno Espirito Santos, that dude, said to them during halftime, but they came out way more lively. I forgot to mention, in the first half, he had made some kind of tactical error. He switched his left back very, very early. I don't know if that was an injury. I don't think it was. I think it was more, they weren't playing the formation he was expecting, so he had to make a slight change in personnel to kind of fit or counteract what City were doing better. But anyways, they came out firing. Wolves were, I'd say they were, for most of the game, they weren't the better team, but for that 10 to 15 minutes after halftime, they were on top of City. They were causing issues. none of it seemed too dangerous until it started to become more clear cut. Like they had a couple of moments where they were holding more possession and getting past players, but I thought City were defending it well. Ake in particular, I thought was doing well. Same with Walker. Anything that came near them, they just defended well. I thought they were targeting Mendy a lot as well. Pedence in particular, I thought was doing very, very well at getting around Mendy. Sorry, and he wasn't always creating the best crosses, the best chances, but he was always making things happen. Wolves had a very near miss with Jimenez. That was the part of the game where I thought like he definitely should have scored that, and Wolves would have been right back into it like earlier on than they did end up scoring. And Traore's cross to him was very, very good. And considering the goal he scored last week, the like the touch that he had to finish it and like the composure, this one was on a plate to him. And if he's got the technicality to put the one in he did last week, he should have finished this one. I don't know why he didn't. Luckily for City, he didn't. And after this, like that missed chance, I thought City were gaining more possession back. They were doing better. Wolves had shown that they could be dangerous, but I thought that was kind of the end of this like push that they had. They seemed to expend all this energy to try and get a goal right after halftime, and it hadn't worked out for them. Later on in the game, they had a corner, and this wasn't the most dangerous corner. It got cleared, but from here, there was several defensive errors. I saw a lot of people online blaming Stones and Mendy and multiple players who kind of have this like stigma around them for being poor defensively for this goal. But for me, the main error came from De Bruyne. Not only the fact that he got nutmegged, but it came from before that. When the ball got headed out, Sterling ran to pressure the guy who had possession. And there was somebody onto the, I think behind Sterling's like left side, right? He pointed behind him to De Bruyne to go mark that guy because he knew that that was the obvious pass once he put on the pressure. And De Bruyne was very lazy in doing it. So he was about like 5 yards away when the pass came. So when De Bruyne eventually stepped out to that guy when the ball went to him, he was moving. He wasn't very light on his feet. He was more concerned with getting near him, which he should have already been close to him because of what Sterling had pointed out. But rather he was in movement towards him, and that allowed Pedence to kind of just nutmeg him and go. And this ball from Pedence, great cross. It's not the kind of cross you'd expect. It was more like placed into the near post rather than kind of like blasted into the near post or like hit across the goal or anything like that. And he put it right on the head of Jimenez. It was a great header. He made up for the chance he missed, and he put this into the top corner. Ederson kind of dived for it. Maybe he could have saved it if he was expecting it there, but in reality, like I didn't think Ederson had much of a chance of stopping it. So it was a good goal, good play from them to get back into the game. And from here, the 2-1, I was starting to get very nervous. I was texting like family members and my girlfriend during the game, and I just said that I was like sweating now because Wolves hadn't really shown too much in the game, and when they had, City had dealt with it. But now it had shown that like their pressure eventually cracked and they'd made something happen. And from there, it would be typical City, especially against Wolves, to like give up this lead. But I think Pep played it smart. He didn't make any changes, any drastic moves to kind of like reassure City. I think he knew City were the better team. We'd been playing better for the most part, and we would continue to do that for the end of the game. And we were managing time very well. De Bruyne was very, very intelligent, trying to win corners and stuff like that, or like waiting for players to get close and hitting it off them. I thought Jesus was very good at like his hold-up play and his interlinking. Sterling was criticized, I saw after the game, for not really being involved too much, which first off, I'm pretty sure he got the assist for Foden. And also, he was defensively helping Mendy, because not only did Mendy get it, I thought it was a ridiculous yellow card, but he got a yellow card in the first half. Mendy had to deal with Adama Traore and Pedence. Pedence was arguably their best player today, and Traore is like their best player in general. So Sterling kind of was hardworking. He like was an auxiliary sort of extra left back, and I thought he really did well defensively, and he was decent going forward. The last goal of the game came like, I'm pretty sure it's the last kick of the game. I think De Bruyne ended up getting the assist for it, and I don't think he could call it really an assist. If you're gonna call that an assist, the goal that we scored, Mara scored in like the last game of last season, or whoever scored that, De Bruyne had a similar thing where he tackled the player and it went to one of the City players, and then we scored, but he didn't get the assist to break the record. But now, because it'd be like his first assist of the year, he was given it, which I don't really see. It's kind of hypocritical, but whatever. Anyways, De Bruyne kind of just like tapped it, tackled Bali. They were kind of going back and forth in this like 50-50 for the ball. And then it bounced to Jesus, beat a guy, and then he opened his body to shoot, and the defender went to block it with his legs, so the shot kind of went through his legs, hit off one of them, and the like redirection off of the like completely wrong-footed Patricio, and it went in. And that was the end of the game. I predicted a 3-1. It was a 3-1. I thought City would be comfortable. It wasn't quite as comfortable as I thought. I did expect Wolves to give us problems, but I thought it would be more like even, and maybe it'd be like 1-1, and then City would start to pull away, or maybe we'd be like 3-0 up, and then they'd score near the end. I wasn't expecting it to be so tense, like a 2-1, and we're just waiting on this goal that will either shore up the game for City, or Wolves will get one and break our hearts. Looking at the performances overall, I thought Ederson was okay, but like he didn't really have much to do. He conceded a goal, but I don't think it was his fault really. Walker was great. He closed down people whenever they were near him. He made a lot of good tackles, important interceptions, clearances. Ake looked really comfortable. What I liked about him, especially, and he seemed very confident for his debut, what I liked was that he was so fast with passing out of the back. He did not seem to need to think about what he was doing. The same way Stones kind of like ponders what he's doing, and he will like kind of direct traffic in front of him to make the best pass, and he holds on for it for too long, I think. Ake was very, very quick in looking to see where there's options, moving, and I thought their communication was great. It seemed like Stones was telling him where to be positionally in the system, and Ake, from a defensive standpoint, was telling him where to be in terms of marking players, and he seemed kind of organized the defense and was very vocal and like a leader in a way, which we kind of need, and I thought Ake was very, very good. Mendy was bad for like 10 to 15 minutes, but for the most of the game, he was really, really good. I was not expecting him to be like that after he's been torn apart by Adama before, but he showed that he can play against somebody like this, and maybe he's got his confidence back. He's over his injuries. Pace-wise, he did get burned a couple of times. I think he just needs to be positionally a little more aware when he's defending. He might still think of himself. I know it's been like over a year of himself as like faster than he is, because it's hard to get used to how an injury affects you without really being experienced in playing, and he hasn't played too many games since all these injuries. Fernandinho, I thought was great. He was really good at kind of holding pressure when we'd have an attack and then Wolves would tackle us and clear it. Fernandinho always seemed to be there challenging, and he almost scored a goal after like this like mazy, it wasn't even a dribble, it was more like he'd hit the ball, one of the Wolves players would get it, he tackled him, and then he ended up doing that like 2 or 3 times, was through on goal. Terrible shot. I think it was a shot, could have been a cross, whatever it was, he just knocked it out of the field. Roger was good. I thought when Wolves turned up the pressure in the second half, he was a little rushed and he was making a couple of errors, but overall he was good defensively and keeping possession. Foden did really well. He created the chance that led to the penalty. He scored a goal. He was very, very tight and good with the ball. He was always making the right pass, and I don't remember him losing it. If he did lose it, it might just have been a duel or something. I don't remember him like misplacing any passes or anything like that. Jesus worked hard and he got his goal. If I was critiquing it and the game had ended like a minute earlier, I would have said that he maybe wasn't getting in enough positions to score, but he was doing a lot of good things for the team. He always works hard. He was good at hold-up play, helping us keep possession, linking up the play, stuff like that. Bruyne was the man of match for me, and there's not too much to say about him. He's just always brilliant. He always creates, he always does things, and he always seems like very assured and confident in himself. On the left wing, I already mentioned, I thought Sterling was good defensively. He got an assist. He could have done more attacking-wise, but Wolves aren't the team to do that against. We weren't going to have that luxury. Maybe against like lower in the table teams, relegation candidates, stuff like that, Sterling will for sure be more attacking, or when the system just permits. But against a team like Wolves, when they have such a strong right side, Mendy's always going to need help, and even with Rodri or Fernandinho helping out, it always helps to have the pace of somebody like Sterling to counteract somebody like Adama Traore. Regarding substitutes, I don't remember if there were any other than Ferran Torres. You can correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. I think it was just Ferran Torres. He made his debut as well. He didn't really have any chances or anything like that, but he did look good enough when he came on. He completed a couple of dribbles. He was very smart with it. He helped time waste sort of with De Bruyne and stuff in the corner. He doesn't look as fast as Sane, but then again, no player does. But he did seem like strong and built, and he was technically very, very good when he came on. So there isn't much to really talk about with him because it was so limited in his appearance, but from what I did see, he did seem good, and I'm excited to see what he does this season when he comes off the bench, because I don't expect him to start, but we'll see. Overall, it was just a comfortable enough game. It was a really good game. I think City broke the record for most opening day victories in a row. I think it's like 10 years of winning the opening game of the season. And I was expecting us to win. I mentioned that yesterday, that we normally seem to win our opening games. We came out strong, we came out fast, it was intense. And while we kind of tired and it wasn't as good in the second half as we were in the first half, I think we showed that that hunger is there. And once our players get our fitness back and a bunch of these guys come back from injury, we'll have so many options. And I do see City as the favorites for the league this year. I know it's not a big sample size, but if we sign another center back, our defense looked better today. Stones is for sure good enough to be a backup if he plays the way he did today. Ake is very, very decent from what we've seen so far. And if we can play Fernandinho in the midfield, that allows for a more defensive system in general. And I think we've just got strength and so many options now that we didn't have last season, if everything just comes together how I expect it to. Okay, that's it for today. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe for more City content, more soccer or football related content. Comment what your thoughts on the match were. If you disagree with anything I said, let me know. If you agree with what I said, tell me I'm awesome, because who doesn't love to hear that? Okay, this has been Sleet. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you later.